USCIS just updated Form I-485 and you're going to want to know how to answer the newly added questions.
Now, we anticipate a lot of confusion regarding the public charge questions on page 13 of this form. So in this video, we're going to explain how to handle these new additional questions.
Please make sure to subscribe and hit the bell if you haven't already to be notified every time we post a new video about marriage immigration. But for now, let's get into it.
In our previous video, we discussed recent I-485 changes, and we mentioned that not much had changed in the form, aside from Part 8, public charge questions.
In the past, they would only ask if you receive public assistance in the US in the past or if you're likely to receive it in the future. But let's look at these new questions and we will show you exactly how to answer them. So the new form, the updated version of Form I-485 asks this question: are you subject to the public charge ground of an admissibility under INA Section 212A4? Your first instinct might be to say no, because if you say no, you don't need to answer the rest of the questions. But actually, chances are you do need to say yes. But here's how you can make sure. When we go to the instructions of the updated Form I-485, this is what they're saying. To find out whether you're subject to the public charge ground of inadmissibility, see the Appendices tab in the USCIS Policy Manual, Volume 8, Part G. So let's look into it. We go under Appendices, and I will be covering the family-based adjustment of status, but if you fall under a different category, please make sure to verify if that law actually applies to you. Okay, so here's what they're saying. Spouses, children, and parents of U.S. citizens or immediate relatives are subject to INA 212A4, and same applies to spouses, children, and unmarried sons and daughters of non-citizen residents, meaning legal permanent residents or green card holders. So if you're married to a U.S. citizen or a green card holder and you're applying for a green card from inside the United States, whereas you need to file Form I-485, you will have to say yes to this question and you will need to answer all of the following questions. The problem is that the instructions don't really explain to you exactly how to answer these questions, so that's why I would like to cover it in this video as well. Okay, so let's start with question 62. It asks for the size of the applicant's household. The applicant must include himself or herself and the following persons if they're residing with the applicant. So the applicant's spouse, the applicant's parents, the applicant's unmarried siblings under 21 years of age, and the applicant's unmarried children. It also includes any other individuals, including a spouse or child not physically residing with the applicant, who are listed as dependents on the applicant's federal income tax return, and any other individuals who list the applicant as a dependent on their federal income tax return. So obviously for a lot of you it's just going to be two, especially those who are filing for marriage adjustment of status, but still please make sure to provide the right number of the household members. Okay, now 63. Question 63 asks the applicant to indicate his or her total annual income. It provides 5 boxes depending on the estimated amount. Remember that this figure represents the income of the applicant and that of any of the persons included in the applicant's household. So obviously if it's you and your spouse, then you would include that number. It also includes income provided to your household from sources who are not members of your household, including but not limited to alimony or child support. And the term income should include salaries and monetary gains from any source. It cannot include income from any of the programs defined as public cash assistance for income maintenance, nor can it include income from illegal activities or sources such as proceeds from illegal gambling or drug sales. And then annual income presumably means estimated current calendar year income rather than income reported on the most recent tax return. All right, so now question 64. Question 64 asks for the total value of the applicant's assets and provides 5 boxes depending on the estimated amount. The term asset is not defined, however, so the instructions only indicate that assets must be owned by the household members. The instructions contain the same prohibition against including assets from illegal activities or sources such as proceeds from illegal gambling or drug sales, but the term is explained for purposes of its use in completing the affidavit of support, and it includes savings accounts, stocks, bonds, certificates of deposit, real estate, or other assets. Assets, in order to be used for purposes of supplementing a sponsor's income, must be significant and readily convertible to cash within 1 year without considerable hardship or financial loss to the owner. And this is from the Form I-864 instructions on page 9. Now, the owner of the asset must include a description of the asset, proof of ownership, and the basis for the owner's claim of its net cash value. Estimates of the value of real estate must include an appraisal from a licensed appraiser. In addition, the value of assets is not given a one-to-one equivalence to that of income. However, no such limitations or requirements appear to exist for assets to be considered by the adjustment applicant. In addition to the assets indicated above, the cash value of the following should be included: cash in a checking account, insurance policies, automobiles. And by the way, when it comes to an automobile, if you only have one in the family, you cannot count that, but if you have two, you can count a second one, and any personal property such as furniture or jewelry. All right, so let's move on. Question 65 asks for the total value of the applicant's household liabilities, including both secured and unsecured liabilities, and provides 5 boxes depending on the estimated amount. So the term household liabilities is neither defined nor exemplified in the instructions other than to state that they must be owned by household members. Liabilities should include fixed and regular expenses such as a mortgage or a lease payment, car loan, school tuition, or child support. Please do not include normal living expenses for food, utilities, gasoline, clothes, etc. All right, so let's look at question 66. This question asks for the highest degree or level of school the applicant has completed and provides 9 boxes. The first option is grades 1 through 11, but it is unclear whether the applicant must have completed the 11th grade to check this box. Until we receive clarification, check this box if the applicant has completed any of these grades rather than all of them. The question uses terms such as high school, 12th grade, bachelor's degree, and college credit, which relate to the US education system and may not be the same in the applicant's country. If this is true, try to indicate the equivalent in the applicant's educational system. For example, in Mexico and other Hispanic countries, grades 10 through 12 are the equivalent of high school, but students earn a bachelor's degree instead of a high school diploma. After this, students may enroll in a university where after 4 or 5 years they can earn a professional degree. This could be, for example, in law or medicine. Students do not attend 4 years of college before studying for one of those doctorate degrees. All right, so question 67. It asks for certifications, licenses, skills obtained through work experience. The instructions provide some guidance, which indicates that the terms include workforce skills training, licenses for specific occupations or professions, foreign language skills, and certificates documenting mastery or apprenticeship in skilled trades or professions. Include any formal certificates the applicant has received. More common are the skills learned on the job. These could be in any field, for example, construction, food processing, hospitality, manufacturing, retail, where the applicant has labored and which make the person marketable. Include the applicant's literacy in his or her native or foreign language as a skill, as well as any proficiency in the English language. The question also asks for educational certificates. The instructions state that these are issued by an educational institution or a training provider and certify that an occupation-specific program or of study was completed. If applicant has received such certificates, write them down. They might be issued by occupational schools and programs. Okay. Now, 68A and B. So for A, it asks the applicant to indicate if he or she has ever received any sort of assistance. This includes benefits the applicant received at any time in the past or is currently receiving. Do not include situations when the applicant has applied for these benefits but has not actually received them or has only been approved for a future receipt. Also, do not include situations where the applicant has applied for or received benefits on behalf of another person, such as the child or other family member. Now, the applicant is presented with a binary choice here. If he or she has received any of these benefits, answer yes and then explain the circumstances in the space provided in Part 14 additional information, including the reasons why the applicant needed it. In addition, fill in the table in 68C by identifying the benefit, the start and end dates when the benefit was received, and the dollar amount of the benefit. Regrettably, USCIS did not explain in the instructions that it will not consider benefits received while the applicant was in an immigration category exempt from public charge and inadmissibility. These could include persons paroled into the country for more than 1 year, special immigrant juveniles, WAVA self-petitioners, T or U visa applicants, and persons classified as Cuban entrants. If the applicant did receive any of these benefits while in an immigration category exempt from public charge, you will need to explain that in Part 14, additional information. And finally, question 68B asks if the applicant has ever received long-term institutionalization at government expense. This is defined as government assistance for a long-term institutionalization in the case of Medicaid, limited to institutional services. Received by the beneficiary, including in a nursing facility or mental health institution. Long-term institutionalization does not include imprisonment for conviction of a crime or for short periods for rehabilitation purposes. If the applicant answered yes to this question, then please complete the table in 60AD and identify the institution, indicate the city and state, the dates of institutionalization, and the reason. So this is pretty complicated, especially because we're not quite sure if we need to submit any of these documents together with I-485, but I know we're gonna know a bit later. And then the last thing that I wanna mention and show to you just as a reminder, if you are sending this form I-485 after December 23rd, 2022, you will need to use this new edition. If you can send it before that date, then you can still use an older edition. But for whoever is sending it after December 23rd, you will need to complete this form and answer these questions. I hope it makes sense.
They are asking these questions to see if you are or can become a public charge in the future, meaning rely on financial support from the government. Now, we anticipate a lot of denials for self-filers who simply answer no to question 61 without actually looking into the instructions. We also anticipate a lot of litigation around this update since it's so reminiscent of Trump's era form I-944.
Additionally, as of now, we don't really know if any additional supporting evidence needs to be submitted with the form. Clearly, they're asking questions about education levels, certificates, licenses, etc., but they provide zero guidance on whether these documents need to be submitted together with Form I-485.
Do you have any questions you'd like answered? Let us know in the comments and we'll get right back to you.
And if you're wanting to prepare your own marriage immigration case without hiring a lawyer, we can help.
Check out the links in the description for more info, or reach out to us directly on Instagram at Marriage Green Card and let us know how we can help.
Be sure to like the video and subscribe if you enjoyed it, and we will see you on the next one.